Whew, it's cold outside. Sup, bro?
Oh, hey, bro.
Wait, what have you done to your face?
What? What's the matter? Come on, bro. Please. I like it. Bro.
What's up, gamers? It is TreeSap Jake here with yet another video. Now, some of you with an eagle eye might notice that I have removed the beard and stuck with a mustache. I do this sometimes. In lockdown, I get bored, and this happens. So, I mean, if you hate it, let me know. If you love it, let me know as well. I'll keep it if people really like it. But anyway, let's get into the video. Today, we're going to be talking about my must-have PvP add-ons. Now, I didn't include this in the Trep UI video for one main reason. Some of the add-ons that I use aren't used by Trep, so these are my custom PvP add-ons that I like to use for this. So we're going to be going through. That's why it's separate. So hopefully you can take a look. You can use the ones that you like, use the ones that you don't have to use them all. But if you don't like them, then don't use them. But if you want to use them, these are the ones that I use, and this helps me get the best efficiency as possible, both in Arena and in RBGs. So let's take a look. First add-on that I really want to talk about is Gladius. Now, Gladius is super important. Why is it super important? Because it pops up on the right-hand side of your screen. It shows you which enemies you're facing. It tells you exactly how much health they've got, what class there is, how much mana they've got, when they're casting. It tracks their trinkets, it tracks your diminishing return, so the DRs of CC, it tracks everything, and it's a really, really useful add-on. Even if you don't have anything, even if you have never used anything in PvP at all, and you just get Gladius, it's literally the only add-on that you'd ever need. I know a lot of people use S Arena and other things like that, but Gladius works really well for me, so it keeps track of everything, and I really, really enjoy it. You can adjust it, you can move the frame from where you want to go. It's just very, very simple. All you do is type in //Gladius, //Gladius, and this pops up. You can then lock the frame, unlock the frame, move it, etc. Change all the font size. I don't really change anything. All I do is when I've got it, I move it over to the right-hand side of the screen, and that's it, and that's where you'll see it. Something you may want to do is enable announcements or turn off announcements, so it'll tell you where things are going. So, for example, I only have it when drinking and resurrection's on. Just tells me when those are things. That'll just tell me announcements. It's really, really useful. Keep the cast bars. I don't change anything else. I literally just move it there. Another really good thing that you can get with Gladius is that I use it to set my focus target. So I literally right click on the characters. So for example, if it's any of, like a mage or a healer, I right click on them, and hopefully we'll get that sorted. So that's literally it. There's not much setup. You just put it there and it works for you regardless. The next add-on we're going to look at is OmniBar. OmniBar is super useful. What it does is it tracks kicks, and it tracks other things like that. It's really, really, really good. I really like it. I've used it to track enemy cooldowns as well. So like Bubble, for example, really useful in Arena. It's a bit hard in RBGs because there's a lot of things you've got to track, but it's just really, really good. If you want to get OmniBar up once you've loaded it, you just type /OmniBar. It pops up like this. Then what you want to do is you want to make sure that it's unlocked and that you want to test it. So as you can see here, I have mine smack bang in the middle. I've made it small enough so that I can see it, so it's not too much, but it's all on my character. So I normally look at my character and look around my character, so it's always in my field of vision. What this will do, it means that as a caster, you can track and you can see when someone uses their kick. Sometimes it's not always clear, sometimes it's not always present. I like this to be able to see. So when I do fake casting, I'm watching myself, I'm looking elsewhere, and I know as soon as I fake the kick, so once I get the kind of idea, it'll pop up there, and then I know I've got 14 seconds, 15 seconds, 20 seconds, how long until it comes up, and then it's sorted. So when you press unlock, you'll see that OmniBar here has this. You can just move this around. I'll put it on top of myself up here, so it kind of just comes around my character. Never normally too big, perfectly fine for me, so that's what it does. Then you just type /OmniBar again, load it up, you just lock it, and that's that. Very, very simple. Press test, etc., etc. if you want to just double check it, but pretty self-explanatory. If you want to go in and do the spells and stuff like that, the ones that you want to track, for example, let's say you want to track Paladin, Bubble, you go down here, you can click this. I don't really need Avenger's Shield, so I can take that off. I don't really need a Repentance. It's a 15-second cooldown anyway, it's always up. Blessing of Sack I have, Rebuke I have, the kick, Divine Shield, that all pops up. So every time I see that, I know for certain that they've got their kicks up, they've got their bubble up, I need to be careful. I mean, I could even do it for Divine Protection, that's like 1 minute, but these smaller cooldowns is not great, but for the Divine Shield, where you're not really thinking about something, you can just add that in. So you can do that all yourself. You just go to Spells at the bottom of OmniBar, and then you just add them in, and that will all pop up Try not to put too much in, try not to go overload yourself a bit too much, but this is perfect, I think, for me. The next add-on we're looking at is OmniCD. This is one that a lot of people are asking me about. OmniCD is the one that tracks your party's cooldowns, so your partners, so you can keep an eye. Let's say you're doing 2s or 3s and you're not talking, so they're not telling you, or even if you're doing 3s and they're telling you and they don't tell you, or they're talking to you, sorry, and they don't tell you anything, they don't tell you when they use bubble, you'll be able to see exactly when they have used it, you'll be able to see when they're using cooldowns, everything. It'll show you that. So in order to get into that, you just type in OmniCD and then you get this up. You want to make sure that the visibility really is only in Arena. Don't really want to put it in Battlegrounds. I really wouldn't use it anywhere else. Then with the Arena, all you have to do is you just go into the Arena setting, you put in the position, and then you just move it either left or right, or tell you which position it is. I have mine on the left, you can just change it to the right. Very easy, it just pops up on the side, tells you how much you need. You can also type in which spells you want to track as well. So let's say, you know, you've got Covenant abilities. I want to track that when my guy's got A-Bomb Limb. I want to track when this guy's got the Hunt. So that's all in there. You can just do everything like that, and it's really, really nice for when you're playing with Arena partners. Another important PvP cooldown that is really, really good is something called BigDebuffs. In order to access that BigDebuffs, you just do /BigDebuffs. How it works is that it pops up stuff on top of people's name frames. So for example, if you look now on my icon here, on my nameplate here, it'll tell me when I'm sat in a fear. It'll tell you the duration of the fear, tells you when you're sort of, big debuffs are kind of put onto the nameplates. But it's quite good and just tells you exactly how long people are sitting for to the right of their nameplate. So for enemies, you'll see to the right of their nameplates they're sitting a full hex. Don't really need to do anything here. You just need to specify what you want to see. I keep things very, very similar. Warnings, for example, like Smoke Bomb, Vamp Touch. I mean, I don't even need Vamp Touch, really. But Unstable Affliction you can put on, etc., etc. This just helps you with dispels and everything like that. These are the warnings here. So in reality, this is probably what I want as an Ellie Shaman. If you're a healer, you want to go Unstable Affliction and Vamp Touch. Super useful. You can just change the size of things, just set, where you want to see things here. It just helps make things slightly bigger on nameplates and everything like that. So it's all there. Really, really useful for you as a player just to keep track. Another add-on that a lot of people ask me about is an add-on called DontCast. It's one that Trep has given to me, one that he told me about. It's quite an old add-on, but it's really, really useful. You just type in /DontCast, and it comes up on the left-hand side of the screen. Very, very useful. Just kind of shows you everything. I don't really need to change anything. I really wouldn't bother looking at this. It just kind of puts it into the middle. If you really want to put it in the middle, which is what I do, you just type /DontCast center. Very, very easy. Don't need to do anything else. Another add-on that I use, and this really helps me, is that in order to track when I've successfully kicked something, when I haven't been faked and I'm sort of focusing on a lot of things, I use an add-on called SimpleInterruptAnnounce. It just essentially just says into Say Chat when I've kicked something, it'll say, Jake has kicked this with this. Really, really useful. In order to set that all up, you want to go interface and you want to go down to SimpleInterruptAnnounce. If you want a sound, if you want anything, if you want it written to yourself where you want to say it to an instance group, super useful. I put it in Say so everyone can see it. Very, very easy. It just helps you keep track, helps your allies keep track if you're not playing with them on voice, and it'll let you know if you get it or someone else gets it. Super useful. Very little you need to do in order to set it up. You just go into Enable Announcing. You can do if you want to get sound or not, but otherwise, I think this is great. Another really super useful add-on that I use to keep track of my games is an add-on called ReFlex. So in order to do this, obviously, if you're using the Trep UI, you want to go to the mini-map button bag, and you want to go to this thing here, this little arrow, this little sword, sorry, with a little yellow background. You want to click on that. It'll show you exactly what you've got. So if I look at all of my RBGs here, this is what you've got. This will show you exactly what we've got. It'll show you what games you played and everything. If you want to do Arena, it's on the right hand side. It'll show you exactly what you've got here. So all of the Arena games that you play, everything you want to do here, it'll show you there. You can analyze what MMR you're at, where you're playing at, etc, etc. So it's really, really useful. I find it really, really nice. You can also track casual games too, like skirmishes, etc. I think it's really useful to kind of analyze what you're doing, analyze where you're going, how many points you're getting, whether you're losing any points, etc, that sort of thing. It's super, super useful. So I would download this. You don't really need to do much with it. It will honestly just come up and it'll be easy and ready for you to press. So no issues there, and it's honestly really, really useful ability. You can also use it as a way to figure out what comps you struggle against. It's a really useful thing, I think, to be honest. But most of the time, it's just to check the games that you've played, track what your win-loss ratio is, what your rating is, what your damage is, your best damage, honor kills, etc, etc. Really, really useful for self-analysis, which is so important when you want to improve. Moving on to a sort of different aspect, I want to go over some of the rated Battleground add-ons that I use. These are a must-have. These are the ones that I really recommend you download before you do anything rated Battleground-esque. The first one we're going to look at is Battleground Enemies. To get into that, you want to do /BGE. It'll take you into this screen. If you want to test it, you want to go 1 to 15 players and you type test in. It'll show you 1 to 15. Obviously, when you do rated Battlegrounds, it's only 10, but this is what you should see. You can then unlock it and lock it. So if you want to move it, I have mine over to the right-hand side of the screen, kind of more around here. It won't cover all of this area on the bottom right, but you know, when it's just sort of 10 members, it's perfectly fine. I also use it in regular Battlegrounds. It's super useful. Then you just press lock again, and if you want to test it, then you just click that off, and it's perfectly fine. But if you want to keep testing it, you do 1 to 15. What's really good about Battleground Enemies, something that makes it super important, is that when you are playing a rated Battleground game, you can click on anyone. It also shows you who's clicking on your enemy. So for example, if you're a target caller and you want to see who's on your enemy, you can just see all the classes that on your team clicking on it. They'll come up as little dots on their names. That'll show how many people you've got on. So if you're target calling and you're calling out a target to kill, you want to have maybe 6 people on there, 5 people on there doing the damage. If they're not, you can tell why you're not killing them. It's because there's only 2 people on there, for example, or you can see where the spread is. So that's an important thing. It's a really, really useful add-on that I think is so vital. It also allows you, when, you know, if your enemy has picked up a flag, it'll show, you can click on the enemy flag carrier, it'll show you where they are, and you can just turn around and go hunt them, go find them exactly. And it also shows trinkets and DRs, etc. You can set that all up, as well as the enemy classes that you're going into, so you'll never sort of blind. So when you start the rated Battleground, you know exactly what you're going into and queuing into. So that's super useful. The final add-on that I want to talk about is something called Reporter. Now this is something a bit more niche. It's maybe a little bit more useful for regular players and for leaders and such, but I think it's a wonderful add-on to have. You go into interface and you go down to Reporter, you click on there, and here it is. It'll only really spawn in when you're in a Battleground. It's slightly annoying. I'm not figured out a way to make sure it, you know, where I can test it, for example. But when you go into a Battleground, you want to keep this lock map off, and then you want to resize it. It comes up really big first, so you want to make sure that you resize it down, so it's very easy to see. But essentially, what you can do is you can have a look and see where all of your members are on the map. You can also show where it'll show you what. If you're playing a Ralthi Basin, it'll show you which bits you've got, so whether you've got whether they belong to you. If you're playing Horde or Alliance, it'll show you in a blue or red color. It'll show you if you put any marks on anyone. So if you mark healers, for example, if you mark your tank, if you mark yourself, it'll all pop up on the map and it'll show you where everything is, so you'll be able to keep track of everyone. It's really useful for leaders that way, but also it's just a quick way not to have to open your map. Always quite a bonus there to kind of see where people are, see where things are being inked, whether people are being attacked, etc. I think it's really useful. It also has options for reporting whether you're being attacked and inked that way. I don't really use it for that. I wouldn't recommend it. I'd make sure that you're on voice with people, telling them over voice that you've got an issue, etc. But it can be used that way and set up that way. I just use it as the map, so I don't have to click open the map too much. I do it anyway because it's much bigger in my eyes. You know, I'm old, so but it's a nice way to keep track, and I can just look down to it when I need to. Okay guys, that's everything. That is my entire list of PvP add-ons. I don't use much, they don't need much setup, but they're there, they're useful, they help you keep track of things, and they really will, I don't know, improve your game, I think, is definitely it. It gives you the information you need to be a good player, and to be analysing and self-analysing everything. So hopefully that's useful. If there are any other ones that I haven't mentioned, anything else you want me to go over, ask me questions. You know I will answer you as quickly as I possibly can, give you as much information as possible. But otherwise, guys, keep liking, keep subscribing, keep supporting the channel. We're growing and it's amazing. I really appreciate that. Really hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. But otherwise, I'll see you in the next video. See ya.